bilateral labor agreements na inchi tofauti tofauti. Vijana 1,400. Unanisikia? 400,000.
President William Ruto has built a political brand around his promise to export jobs. In his telling, more than 400,000 young Kenyans have already found work abroad in just 1,000 days of his presidency.
400,000 wameenda kufanya kazi nje ya Kenya. 400,000.
His bottom-up economic transformation agenda was practically tap dancing to Silicon Valley. According to Ruto, tech titans like Apple and Amazon were so impressed, they were practically begging him for 100,000 young Kenyans to staff their operations in the US.
Mimi nilikuwa Marekani juzi. Nimetembelea kampuni ya Google. Nimetembelea kampuni ya Intel. Nimetembelea kampuni ya Apple. Hizo kampuni zote wanatafuta wafanyikazi. Wanasema tupatie wafanyikazi 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 na hawa wafanyikazi ni hawa vijana wa Kenya.
But across the Atlantic, Donald Trump just threw a wrench into those plans. On September 19th, the US president signed a proclamation titled Restriction on Entry of Certain Non-Immigrant Workers. At the heart of it is a new annual fee of $100,000, about 12.9 million Kenyan shillings for every H-1B visa holder employed in the US.
We need workers, we need great workers, and this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land, train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here, $100,000 a year for H-1B visas, and all of the big companies are on board. We've spoken to them about the gold card.
They love it. They love it. They really love it. They need it.
In short, either the worker pays or the employer pays. No exemptions.
You're very close to the technology CEOs. Are they concerned about that?
I think they're going to be very happy. Everyone's going to be happy. And we're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people. And in many cases, these companies are going to pay a lot of money for that. And they're very happy about it. Okay, we'll talk about that next, Sarah. Okay.
Trump framed it as a national security measure. He accused outsourcing firms of abusing the program, dabbling in fraud and money laundering.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most abused visa systems in our current immigration system has been the H-1B non-immigrant visa program. This is supposed to allow highly skilled laborers who work in fields that Americans don't work in to come into the United States of America. What this proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H-1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. So it'll protect American workers, but ensure that companies have a pathway to hire truly extraordinary people and bring them to the United States to work.
We need workers. We need workers. We need great workers.
But the blunt force of the policy hits everyone, not just the Indian and Chinese nationals who make up the bulk of H-1B visa holders. So what does this mean for Kenya, when the target seems to be India and China, who together account for nearly 70% of H-1B holders?
The World Economic Forum has rated Kenya human capital as the best in the world.
The timing couldn't be worse. President William Ruto has been touting his labor export program as a runaway success, claiming to have shipped more than 400,000 Kenyans into jobs overseas. According to him, Apple, Amazon, and other US tech giants had already asked for between 100,000 and 300,000 Kenyan workers. The maths now makes those promises look impossible.
Vijana ambao tumewapatia placement nchi tofauti tofauti duniani kwa ile program tumesign ya labor mobility, tumesign bilateral labor agreements na nchi tofauti tofauti, vijana 400,000. Unanisikia? 400,000. Huyu Mutua huyu anaelewa hiyo kazi.
Now, let's do the math Ruto might be sweating over. If his claim of 100,000 Kenyan youths destined for the US tech jobs hold waters, that's $10 billion, which is equivalent to 1.29 trillion Kenya shillings annually to secure their H-1B visas. Now, for context, that's more than Kenya's entire education budget for 2025. And since the fee renews yearly, it is a recurring nightmare for employers like Amazon, who have already told their H-1B workers to stay put in the US while they figure this out. And the blow doesn't stop there. Kenya is not India, which takes about 71% of the 85,000 H-1B visas each year. Kenya only gets around 500 to 1,000 workers in IT, engineering and healthcare. Still, Trump's fee hike is a big blow to Ruto's labor export claims.
Wameenda kufanya kazi nje ya Kenya. Ile pesa tunapata ya remittance imeongezeka by $1 billion in the last 2 years. Mnanielewa? This country is changing. Hii nchi tunaibadilisha. Na itabadilika tukiona. Na itabadilika watu wakiendelea kusema hatuoni. We are going to change this nation.
The money those Kenyans send back home, about $20 to $50 million, could drop if US companies stop sponsoring them.
We've just concluded today, again, a bilateral relationship on how we can collaborate more on matters sharpening our human capital.
Nairobi's Silicon Savannah, which depends on global tech links, could also see its $200 million export market suffer. And for those 500 to 1,000 Kenyan workers on H-1B visas, the danger is real. They could lose their jobs or get stuck if their employers can't afford the new costs.
Na nimetangaza, sijui mbona watu wasikii. You know? Every month vijana 10,000. Vijana ngapi? Unanisikia? Wewe Chege, hawa viongozi make sure kati hawa vijana wanaenda kufanya kazi nje ya Kenya, vijana wa AIPC wawe hapo katikati. Ama hamtaki vijana wenu waende wafanye kazi?
It's no secret Ruto has been selling his labor export plan as the magic fix for Kenya's 35% youth unemployment. He is aiming to send 250,000 more Kenyans by 2025. Deals with Germany, the UK and Gulf countries are in place, but the US was supposed to be the big prize.
Ya kwamba National Youth Service katika ile harakati ya kupanga vijana watakaoenda kufanya kazi katika nchi ya nje. Already we are concluding negotiations with Germany. We are concluding negotiations with Saudi Arabia. We are concluding negotiations with another 8 countries on export of labor. And the National Youth Service is going to be the central organization for pre-deployment training so that Kenyans understand what they need to do when they go out for work.
Now, Trump's new visas fee spoils that plan. Will Ruto really spend billions to keep his US tech dream alive? Not likely. Will Apple or Google pay 12.9 million Kenyan shillings for each of the alleged 100,000 Kenyan workers? Well, it's hard to see it. No wonder the internet is ablaze. Critics warn that the fee hike could force companies to dump foreign workers altogether, rather than shoulder their costs. Now, since 2004, the annual H-1B cap has been 85,000. Until now, fees hovered around $1,500. Now, US Citizenship and Immigration Services reports applications for next year are down to 359,000, a 4-year low. Amazon was last year's biggest beneficiary, followed by Tata, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and Google. But late Friday, Amazon quietly told its H-1B visa staffs already in the US to stay put. And now, the future of the program and Ruto's grand labor export promises suddenly looks much more expensive in the United States.